Hey YouTube, Firestar307 here, and I have for you another, probably my favorite deck that I've run in a really long time, solely because Blackwings will hold an undying place in my heart. They were the first deck that I ran competitively, and the first deck that I topped with 2 years ago when they were all awesome and stuff, and Konami just kept hitting them on the ban list until, well, they can still top in a tournament, and I proved that at my locals today, which was probably one of the best feelings I've had in a while. But so here's the list for the Blackwing deck that I ran today. I tried to keep it a little bit old school, kept in some of the cards and theories from 2 years ago, but give it a sort of new age twist, so to speak. But so for this deck, I ran 2 value. It combos with Sirocco the Dawn and Armed Wing in the graveyard. It lets you make larger synchros. It also combos with Armor Master to make Silver Wind, which is a 2800 beat stick if you make it with value. Value's just that little floater guy that you can set your Icarus attack, and then your opponent will, like, it's great if you go second to set a value and an Icarus attack, and then your opponent will have that set card and that monster, and they might summon another monster and attack, and you can, like, Icarus attack and destroy their stuff and put the value that you want in the graveyard and all that stuff. But not 3, because he can be a really dead draw, but you definitely want more than 1, because if you draw into one of them, then you can't search it out with Shura, and that kind of sucks sometimes. And then I ran 2 Blizzards. Originally I had this at 3, but after some testing, I decided to take it down to 2, because people run so many Veilers that Blizzard is dead a lot of the time. You just summon him, and they're like, Veiler, oh, that's awesome. I've got this Blizzard sitting on the field with nothing to do. A play with Blizzard that you can do is if you have any of your level 4 Blackwings in the graveyard, like, say, Bora. You can bring back Bora and then use value with Sirocco, get out an Armed Wing, and then synchro with Bora and the Armed Wing. And then that's really great if you brought back Gale with Blizzard, because Gale still has its effect. So you can make that 2300 beater and then have whatever big monster they have and get over it. It's just a nifty little play that some people might not know anymore. And then 1 Gale is limited to 1 for good reason, but sadly, I'm sad because it's a Blackwing, but it really should be limited to 1. Halves one of your opponent's monsters' attack and defense permanently. He's a 3-star tuner that can be special summoned if you have another Blackwing on the field. 1 Kalute. The stuff you see on it is a signature of somebody that I know. But Kalute is the awesome hand trap of Blackwings. He's also limited to 1. I think they could really bring this guy back up, because not enough people play Blackwings that it would matter too much. I mean, it'd make them another competitive deck. You can ditch this guy to the graveyard to have one of your Blackwings gain 1400 attack when they're attacking or are being attacked. So he's a really nice card. 1 Zephyros the Elite. This guy combos really well with things like Gale and Bora, because it's basically a free extra summon from the grave. If he's in the grave and you summon either one of those, you can bounce it with this guy, and then synchro or exceed or just deal extra damage. And he lets you manipulate the graveyard for a Dark Arm Dragon really easily too. And then 3 Boras is pretty much mandatory for Blackwings. You could special summon it from your hand if you control another Blackwing. It lets you go and do easy rank 4 exceed plays, and he also has piercing. 3 Shuras. I ran 3. If any Blackwing in here, I might take out 1 Shura, as much as it pains me to say, because he doesn't get his battle search off as often as you'd like, and when he does, you only use it 1 or 2 times, because I don't play Breeze the World, Breeze, Zephyros, whatever it is, the orange little fluffy guy. I like him a lot, but I don't know. He doesn't quite work out as well for me anymore, but so I played 3 Shuras today. I might knock that down to 2, but he's the Battle Searcher. He's got 1800 attack, and when he destroys a monster by battle, he brings out Blackwing with 1500 or less attack, and its effect is negated. So you can bring out Value, but Value says that you cannot Synchro Summon with him while he's on the field, but that effect is negated with Shura if you bring out Shura, so you can Synchro for level 5. So that's why Shura is good with Value. Let's see, thin the deck. And then 2 Sirakos. This guy is sort of like a Cyber Dragon in a way that if you control no monsters and your opponent has monsters, you can normal summon him from your hand instead of special. And then he has the ability that if you can take the attack power of all Blackwing monsters on the field and add it onto one Blackwing monster you control, but only that Blackwing monster can attack this turn. And then for the boss monsters, Gores and Dark Armed Dragon. Dark Armed is sometimes hard to get off in this deck late game because you have so many monsters, but with graveyard control like Manipulation, like Zephyros and Blizzard and Value and Sirocco, it's not terrible to get out, and Gores is Gores. And then 2 Effect Veilers. I thought about running more than that, but it's again with the keeping to the old schoolness. People didn't run triple Veiler back then. You only ran a couple usually, and none of that Max C nonsense either. Alright, on to the spells. 1 Black Whirlwind. This card is amazing. When you normal summon a Blackwing monster, you can add 1 with less attack from your deck to your hand. This card was broken beyond all reason at multiples, and it's another card that deserved to be limited, but is also a really, really amazing card. 2 Lances helps you get over things and protect your Blackwings, initial normal summon that you need to get onto the field and have field presence. The usual Lance reasons. 1 Allure of Darkness, everything but Veiler is a dark type, draw power. 2 Dualities, you're not always going to special summon. There's a lot of turns you just normal summon, poke, and then say go. So Duality is very good in this deck. Book of Moon, it lets you go for some really aggressive plays with Bora, or even Bora and Sirocco. Probably Blackwing's favorite opening is if your opponent sets 1 monster, just says go, and you open up with Gale, 3 Boras, and a Sirocco, because you can spam the field with all of those, pump 1 of your Boras, and attack for game if they can't stop you. But this card's good in there. It's just good because it disrupts Exceed and Synchro plays too. And then 2 MST, only 2 because you have the Lances, and back row isn't a huge problem with the amount of back row destruction you already have. Heavy Storm, Dark Hole, and Monster Reborn, it's fairly standard staples. 1 Delta Crow anti-reverse for the traps. This card, I love it to death. It's a trap that if you control a face-up Blackwing monster, you can flip it, and it destroys all set spell and traps that your opponent controls. You can also play it from your hand if you control exactly 3 face-up Blackwing monsters. So that's something that can really catch your opponent off guard. Like if they just have a back row, it's like a couple cards, or even that 1 card that you're worrying about, you can summon special, and then throw this down from your hand. And I had a couple of people go, "You can't do that, that's a trap." And then I told them to read the card. And then I played 3 Icarus attack to keep in fashion with the old school style that I wanted to keep in this deck. For those of you that don't know, you tribute a 1-winged beast monster and destroy 2 cards on the field. This card kind of gets wrecked by Starlight Road, but you gotta play around that. You gotta know when your opponent's got that set, and if they do, just make sure you've got a way to get over Stardust. And then I ran 2 Compulses. I was going to do Bottomless, but then I figured, Compulse gets rid of like more stuff that's painful. Like My Stroke is more painful to me than something like Gemnite Pearl, because I can get up and over Gemnite Pearl in 1 shot, whereas My Stroke just sits there and takes a few pokes to get. And like Zen Main, same thing. And then Solemn Brigade, fairly standard in that regard. And then the extra deck, I ran 1 Maestroke, 1 Roach, 1 Utopia, and 1 Gemnite Pearl for Mixed Seeds. Roach was for Chaos Dragons and Heroes. Utopia and Pearl are fairly standard, and the Maestroke is another dark target. One time I had Dark Arm Dragon in hand, and then I summoned Bora, bounced it with Zephyros, brought it back, made Maestroke, and my opponent had a Ryo, so I assumed that they were going to take my Maestroke out, and even if they didn't, I'd be okay with it in defense, because Ryo can't run it over. But, so then I had exactly 3 for Dark Armed, and then that was all sorts of weird. But yeah, those are the only seats. And then I play 2 Armed Wing, the synchro that you'll bring out the most in this deck. He has piercing, and he gains 500 attack when he attacks a defense position monster. And you can also bring him out with Sirocco and Value really easily, but then he doesn't get his effect because of Value. And then 1 Armor Master. He can't be destroyed by battle, you take no battle damage. And then if he attacks your opponent's monster, you can place a wedge counter on them, which means that, well, he has an additional effect that you can take all wedge counters off of your opponent's monsters, and then the monsters that you took wedge counters off, their attack and defense becomes 0 for the turn. So Armor Masters are really good. Just field presence, beat, especially if your opponent just runs a bunch of monsters, you can just drop him in defense, or actually even in attack, because you don't take battle damage, so it doesn't matter. But the only problem is, like, he still gets destroyed by card effects really easily, so. And then 1 Vortex the Whirlwind. This is something that you can make with Value and Shura. It's a winged beast, so you can tribute it off with Icarus attack if you need to, but if he's destroyed by battle, you can special summon a level 4 winged beast monster from your deck. And then 1 Blackwing Silverwind the Ascendant. You never really actually synchro for this guy unless you are doing it with Value and a used up Armor Master in your graveyard, and then it's just a free 2800 beat stick. 1 Magical Android. I was looking for one last extra deck card, and then I saw this sitting around, and I was like, okay, I have to run this because it's that old school synchro that everybody used to have in their extra deck back in the day, because that's all there was. And then 1 Catastor, because it's Catastor, he does work. Bryanak, it's really, really easy to make in this deck, and is extremely easy to abuse also, because you can pitch the Value and the Sirocco. Value plays are a big part of this deck too. You can just make stuff really easily. And then 1 Black Rose, make it with Gale and any level 4. And then Scrap Dragon, the Blizzard and Armed Wing plays to make this. And then 1 Mistworm, because Shura attack, Value, and a Bora equal Mistworm, or any other random shenanigans that you want to pull off. And then for the side deck, I ran 2 Thunder Kings. Just stops heroes, stops searching. Pretty good card overall. 1 Banisher. I know this hurts like Value and stuff, but there are decks that it hurts more than me, and I can always side out my Values. It doesn't hurt me too much. Like, this hurts Inzectors pretty hard, especially if I have something to stop them, like the Compulses and the Warnings. It hurts Dragons and other things. Spirit Reaper, sit there against Dino Rabbit and stuff. The 1 Crow, I choose to run Crow in the side deck as opposed to other cards, because if you are in a pinch, you can set this and an Icarus attack and tribute it off because it's a winged beast. 1 extra Delta Crow for extra back row hate. I used both of them in one game earlier today, and it was all sorts of fun. 2 Trap Holes, this is keeping with the old school, and it hurts Inzectors pretty hard, along with Heroes and other stuff. But yeah, it's a pretty fun old card. 2 Bottomless, there are a lot of Trap Holes in this side deck. Against Heroes, against Chaos Dragons, other big stuff. 2 Deep Dark Trap Holes. This hurts Chaos Dragons pretty hard, especially if you hit their Light Pulsar. or, I mean, even Red Eyes Darkest Metal, or Dad, anything big. Hurts heroes, because Shining doesn't get its effect, because it just straight up removes it. It doesn't hit Exceeds, though, so that's why it's in the side deck. And then one Big Burn. This is another old card. It's from Invasion of Chaos. It's when... Is it your opponent or anybody? I don't even remember. Yeah, your opponent specifically designates one monster in their graveyard, and then you remove all monsters in the graveyard from play. There were a couple of people playing Dark World, so I thought I'd sign this in on them, and sadly I never got it off, but it's one of those cards that I just like. And then 2 skill drains, because Blackwings can get around skill drain really easily, and it hurts Insectors and windups and all that stuff. So yeah, that's my Blackwing deck profile. I hope you like it. I hope you guys try out your own Blackwing deck if you want something fun and fairly cheap to build. And let me know what you think of it. And rate, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And I will see you next time, YouTube. Bye.